All right. Well, hello everyone out there in Google Plus world, and welcome. My name is John Kramer. This is going to be a broadcast that we are pretty much just sharing here the events, pictures, images for today's World Wide Solstice Festival. First, I am running a bit behind. I went ahead and decided that the weather was good enough for me to go ahead and do some actual personable sharing of my own local folks here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, with a dedicated solar telescope and another scope with a white light solar filter. Conditions today, however, were very questionable for me, frankly. There's just enough sun to where you can see it in white light and make out the sunspots, but just enough clouds to where hydrogen alpha really was quite wiped out. There are some breaks now in the clouds here and there. Let me just take another quick look. It's still pretty crummy, but a little bit of breaks here and there. So it's kind of unsure whether or not I am going to be online broadcasting a little bit later here on Night Skies Network for doing the Worldwide Solstice Festival and sharing those live views with, by the way, a brand new Daystar 66 millimeter ED telescope, F6, I believe, with their Quark chromosphere solar hydrogen alpha. Basically, it's an eyepiece adapter, filter, etc. And I've said a number of great things about those in previous episodes. Even I think not only NEAth 2015, but just prior to that, I think I talked about some new equipment released from them. And you know, it's great stuff from what I've seen from folks that are posting their images up online with these Quarks. It's been great. And why wouldn't it be? Because, man, if you have a refractor telescope, any focal length from about, I think, f7 up to I want to make sure that I'm accurate here, f9, I believe, will work out. And you have a great hydrogen alpha telescope right off the bat. I will say one quick note, though, that if you have a larger aperture refractor, I believe they're documenting larger than 5 inches, 150, 127. No, I think it was 150 millimeters. I could be wrong. Just looked at the documentation yesterday. You will want to get an energy rejection filter, which they, by the way, also produce. So great stuff there. And I do hope that the weather permits me to go ahead and do some of that broadcasting here a little bit later. But now let's start getting into the meat and potatoes. You see, it is humid here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Hot from that lovely sun of ours. And we just love sharing it and talking about it. But let's go ahead and check out some of the images that we have been able to see from the Worldwide Solstice Facebook page, of course, as well as solar activity. Now, for those of you that might not know what this is all about, the Worldwide Solstice Festival. This is literally a worldwide event that's been coordinated by two very prominent amateur astronomers, specifically as it pertains to solar astronomy and solar astronomy outreach. I'm talking about Pam. Thank you. Okay. Pam, yeah, we are live. Pam Shavax and her husband Randy that are out in Arizona, as well as John O'Neill. And they've created a phenomenally informative web page or Facebook page called Solar Activity. If you haven't checked that out, if you haven't joined that page and you like astronomy and solar astronomy, join it now. You will you'll be amazed with the wealth of information, the fantastic images that come up, not only from Randy, who's imaging out of Arizona with some fantastic equipment, but also John, as well as amateurs all over the world. Just some phenomenal imaging done with some great equipment for imaging the sun. And all that goes along with that. We also, they went ahead and they said, well, let's go ahead and create an event that celebrates the sun on a very specific day, and that is, of course, the Northern Hemisphere's sun's solstice. And there is, I'll bring it up here, there is a pretty good representation and graphic here that I had that I probably will go ahead and share. And this does a very good job of elaborating the specifics of what the solstice is. And of course, if I would have named it nice and clear, oh, you know what? I think I have it on my Evernote. Oh, the joys of live, being live, Google plus Hangouts. As you can see, I have some beads of sweat too on my forehead. It looks like I got some sun on my nose too. Yeah, it's been pretty hot here. I don't exactly know the temperature, but it's been a rush of activity for me personally. So bear with me here as I try to get this up for sharing online. But we'll go ahead and we'll talk a little bit while I wait on my computer to go ahead and search for this. Basically, the solstice represents the longest period of the time that the sun is visible for us in the Northern Hemisphere. It has to deal with our tilt and what's called the Tropic of Cancer. This is an imaginary line that's the midpoint, basically, of the sun as it hits our planet, basically. And let's see if I have that graphic now on this web page. And so today is the longest day of pure sun that we will have in the Northern Hemisphere. And thus, that is why we like to go ahead and share the views specifically and celebrate on this summer. So I have that up here. Let's go ahead and no, I don't want to win an Apple Watch. Gotta love these pages for their advertising. Screen. Let's see what we can go ahead and come up with here. Is it this one? I think it is. Okay, so you're going to see a web page now. I thought was a very good website for this, explaining what exactly the summer solstice is. And it's also important, if you go to the summer solstice website, the Facebook page there, and it's the World Wide Solstice Festival, you'll go ahead and get the idea that this has been celebrated for eons. And in fact, as this graphic represents, folks there at Stonehenge like to go ahead and be at that point during the solstice there. So some cool there activities, no doubt there. But here is the graphic in particular that I wanted to go ahead and share with you. So you notice this line here, the Tropic of Cancer. You notice that that is directly perpendicular to sun's rays. And because of our tilt and the time of year, that's what makes it the summer solstice for us. And in the December, it's going to occur, or in the southern hemisphere, rather, it's going to occur December, between the 20th and the 23rd, it shows here. So that is why we go ahead and pick today to go ahead and do these types of solar events, and why, no doubt, Pam and John and the gang there decided, you know, today would be a cool day because everybody goes ahead and celebrates the solstice around the world. It's been happening for a long time. Why not go ahead and share our love for solar astronomy right there at that point? So that was definitely the reasoning behind that. So if you want to check out that yourself, you can go ahead and roll on over to, I wish there was a way I could paste that, but I can't. ibtimes.co.uk summer-solstice-2015-what -it-why it. Yeah, that's a long URL. Go there and search for it. I'm sure you'll go ahead and find it. I'm not going to go ahead and read that whole thing. So we'll go with that. All right, let's get back to doing some other things here with screen shares, and in particular, how we can go ahead and see some great stuff from our own activities out there for today's Worldwide Solstice Festival. Let's go ahead and share our screen here. And we are going to go ahead and probably do this one. Bear with me here as I find the exact screen that I want to get to. I believe yes. Okay, great. So we are sharing the right screen here. So what we are going to do is we're going to go right here to Solar Activities Facebook page, and there's Pamela Shavax. She went ahead and created the World Wide Solstice, and let's go through and look at some phenomenal photos that are live, essentially live right now. This gentleman, Eric, posted up this wonderful hydrogen alpha image. Look at the sunspot regions. By the way, we can identify these active regions by just going right here. This is solarham.net. This is a great site. I really like solarham.net. I encourage you to head on over there. This is where you can get sunspots, active regions, and any type of solar phenomenon alerts and measurements almost in real time. So it's really a great site. So I think what he's imaging here is that active region 2371. And of course, you look at this in white light, comparing that to hydrogen alpha, vastly different. Hydrogen alpha is what permits us to see the chromosphere of the sun. Whereas this particular filter here, no doubt a white light filter, permits us to see the photosphere of the sun. And what's interesting is that this layer that we're seeing here in Eric's photo that he posted up about 24 minutes ago. Thank you, Eric, for sharing these great views, by the way. This layer is actually on top of the photosphere. So when you're looking at white light, you're seeing through the chromosphere to the photosphere. Very cool. Our sun is definitely pretty neat. Ooh, look, this is a live shot, folks. Look at the fantastic prominences that were captured here with Eric's equipment. These are phenomenal. You can actually see here, I don't know if the mouse pointer is being shown through, or if there's a way that I can verify that. Yes, actually, you're seeing my mouse pointer, so perfect. Now, this image here showing you, oh, this is great. Great job, Eric. This is showing you a solar prominence here, but you're also seeing part of it as a filament right here and some other smaller filaments right here. So basically, a prominence is a filament, but seen edge on as far as to the disk of the sun. And of course, a filament, you can think of a filament as a prominence seen on the disk of the sun, not along the edge. But look at the spectacular detail that you're able to see within this prominence. This is what makes the sun fantastic, folks. The sun is dynamic. It does change. These I've seen in the eyepiece of my own hydrogen alpha telescope at times where these prominences change literally before your very eyes. So it's dynamic, it's fascinating, and I really encourage you, if you want to learn more, pick up a book or anything, get part of your astronomy club, join the Solar Activities Facebook page, learn more about our closest star, the sun, because it's it's fantastic. It's absolutely amazing. Look at this other wonderful loop prominence here. And all of this, I believe these are what's called spicules, if I'm not mistaken here, right along the edge. Essentially, all of these darker, material here is spicules, but as they come up to the edge and you're able to see it edge on against the blackness of the space, you get to kind of see it as a separate layer. Beautiful shot of the active region there. Let's scroll through and see some other great shots here with Eric, and we'll go through some more. Another lovely image here, again in hydrogen alpha, really showing the sunspots this time. Very good detail. Look at the beautiful loop prominences, but really filaments right here. If they were on the edge, no doubt we would see them as loop prominence, but these are filaments right now. These are lifted off of the sun surface itself, and this is what you're seeing here. Very exquisite detail right now. This is live, folks, so well, this is an image of what was snapped, no doubt, live. So another beautiful shot of a prominence with the sun. Just great stuff there. This is the type of images that can be shared live at times. And this was, by the way, an Astrophysics 155 with a Coronado Cinemax 60. Now, if you want to see something really cool, Scott here, Hafner, 27 minutes ago, said he was broadcasting on Night Skies Network. Let's check out his live feed right now. That's right. We're going to check this out and bring it up on the screen here. If you've never been to Night Skies Network, it actually lit up a little bit more. There he goes. There is little cotton puffs are hanging a little lower to the ground. Scott here broadcasting. You can go ahead and see some of the chat going on. I'm going to go ahead and just say hello here. Well, there's a little too much, or not quite enough clouds for me to see his naked eye. Yeah, he's got some clouds too. Look at all those birds flying through there. It's pretty big though. It probably could be naked eye if you had just enough cloud filter. Absolutely. That is what we were showcasing at Murfreesboro Park with my 6-inch f8 Newtonian with a safe solar filter. We'll listen here. Hopefully you can see my mouse pointer. I'm going to go ahead and mute that too real quick. So Night Skies Network is a great site, folks. You get daytime observing, you get nighttime observing. I frequent there. My channel, by the way, is At The Eyepiece. And so Scott here, or Sparky here, is broadcasting a live image with his scope. This is as live as it can get. You saw all of these, the birds and perhaps even the insects flying through. That's what happens sometimes when you're broadcasting live. And you are getting these active regions. You're getting this image right here. This is some solar ham, and we'll flip back to, you got the same image. This is live. This is great. This is why I love Night Skies Network. And he's broadcasting with an 80 millimeter scope, very modest scope, gang, with a Next Image 5 and a Bader film, which is this type of solar filter to safely see the sun. You definitely want to go ahead and realize that you're imaging this and viewing this safely. Because if you don't, folks, if you don't have the proper equipment, well, you can go blind. You can get some real damage done to you. So very cool here. Let me see if I can increase the image size there. I'm not sure if that's coming across very well. Let's see, sharing your screen. Okay, well, it's still sharing the screen. I went ahead and got this full screen. I sure hope that you're still seeing this okay. Here's some nice detail now of that active region. And look, you know it's live, gang, too, because look, you're seeing the atmosphere, the turbulence in the atmosphere actually shimmer the image. You can see it shake here. Sometimes the image gets real sharp. Sometimes it's still a little blurry. That is what amateur astronomers call seeing. And, it's one of the main reasons, well, it is the main reason why they decided to put the Hubble Space Telescope in space. Now, granted, the Hubble does not view the sun. There's other specialized solar telescopes, but seeing conditions affect nighttime observers just as it does daytime. Actually, in fact, more so probably during the day, because you have all those heat currents generated from the sunlight that is affecting your local seeing conditions. All right, so how do we get out of this from being... There we go. So we got that out of... I'm just going to go ahead and make that a little bit larger, just in case folks don't want to realize that they are seeing this on the chat. But that's a great image, and we're checking that out now. I'm going to go ahead and post on... So that is Scott broadcasting live here. You get that link directly from Solar Activity, or head on over to nightskiesnetwork.com. You can sign up free. If you sign up, you'll be able to go ahead and log in with an actual screen name, be able to interact, be able to chat, but you don't have to. You can go ahead and view it without signing up, without doing anything. That's the great thing about Night Skies Network. So we're going to come back to this. This is active region. What was the number again? 2371 for the Worldwide Solstice Festival live. This is Scott sharing his view from North Dakota. All right, so as we progress here through, let's go ahead. Oh, Raphael with a big prominence here. This was done with a PST and a Barlow with a DFK camera. Now, let me go ahead and explain that for those that may not know all this jargon that we're using here. What this means, PST is a type of hydrogen alpha telescope. It's actually a very modest, very economical instrument. And look at the views that you can go ahead and get. Solar activity can be in the reach of you, and I really encourage you, if you love astronomy and you stick with the nighttime stuff, well, that stuff is great, but give the daytime stuff a try. Give a view of our closest star a try here. And some of the best equipment out there is with day star filters. I love their quark. You got to go ahead and check them out, especially if you have a refractor already. But let's get back to the explanation of this particular image. This is with the PST. It's made by Coronado. Barlow is something that doubles your magnification. Okay, and a DFK31, that is a type of USB color camera made by the Imaging Source. And they're just a specialized camera, USB camera manufacturer that recently actually was sold off to Celestron. They still make scientific application cameras, but their astronomical cameras, specifically for astronomy, is now in the world of Celestron Instruments. So great stuff there. Let's go through here. Oh, an M-class solar flare 50 minutes ago. These flares, gang, are released of charged particles, and depending upon where Earth is in relationship to that outflow of charged particles that you're seeing, we might have some increase of activity for ourselves. Specifically, aurora. Now, let's see if I can find a graphic here that explains that in a little bit better detail. I thought I might have grabbed one specifically for this. Might be in this PDF here. Sorry, I'm a little bit... Is it here? I think it is here. Okay, yep, there it is. Okay, sorry, gang. Let me go ahead and bring this up here. Yes, this is live, so I have to switch screens and do all this kind of stuff. So, bear with me here. Again, those of you that are just joining in on Google Plus, I want to say hello. I want to say thank you. We are just going ahead and talking about the sun because today is the World Wide Solstice Festival. I'm going ahead and just sharing some great images that are posted up to the Solar Activity website on Facebook, that is, as well as the Worldwide Solstice Festival page on Facebook too. And we are also sharing out some of the views that other folks are doing with their telescopes live on the air through Night Skies Network. Scott there, or Sparky in Dakota, is actually nice enough to go ahead and share his view with us as well. So let me go ahead and see if I can find my broadcast window and share out this particular screen so that we can talk about these flare events a little bit and exactly what they are. Yep, that's me. Oh boy, I got quite a bit of sun there. Quite a bit of sun there on my nose today. Should have wore a little bit of sunscreen. Let's see. Is it that one? Or is it? Yes, I think it's this one. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go ahead and show you a little bit more of what the importance is when people say about these flares. And if I can find the right slide here. There we go. So briefly, this is the sun on the left, and we have Earth, obviously not quite to that scale and obviously not quite to that distance. But the sun spews out things all the time called the solar wind. That's fine. But along with the solar wind, it can do things called coronal mass ejections. And sometimes associated with flares, other charged particles can be released. So they travel through space, and if we happen to be in the right position when they spew out from the sun in the direction of us, well, we're going to get hit with them. And what will happen is they will go ahead and hit these magnetic lines here. These blue represents the magnetic field. If I'm not mistaken, they represent the Van Allen belts. And what will happen is the charged particles from that will funnel down into the polar regions here, the North Polar Cap, the South Polar Cap. That's when you get solar flares. Or I'm sorry, aurora. Aurora borealis, and I can't remember the name for the ones in the southern hemisphere, so I do apologize for anybody that's on our our southern hemisphere there. Aurora borealis, that is aurora, beautiful lights that appear most of the time to northern portions of the United States. I would say, obviously, the Dakotas. At times, you're going to get them down as far as Tennessee, actually, but that's very rare. But anyway, when we talk about these solar flares, that's what could mean some increased activity for our aurora. And that's why it's important for astronomers to go ahead and know and study the sun and how these events affect us here on Earth. It's also important to note, too, that you might not realize that when there are powerful coronal mass ejections and flares, sometimes they can mean very catastrophic effects here on Earth. If you recall, there was a power outage in the Northeast some time ago. I'm thinking maybe 8 years ago. And they have attributed that to actually some solar flare activity. All these charged particles hitting the Earth's atmosphere, funneling down through the Van Allen belts, and getting into our local atmosphere, interacting with our power grid, and causing some problems. So it can happen. Now, it's interesting, too, obviously, spacecraft that are out in space, relatively unprotected, because they don't have Earth's atmosphere that protects us from all of these things. they have to be on alert at times. Certainly, International Space Station and the astronauts and cosmonauts and whatever that are in that station at the time, they are always kept up to date with solar activity. Space Shuttle, when the United States was flying that, was also always kept up to date with the activity there. Certain satellites probably have to be put on standby, or certain there's certain precautions that they have to go through if they are in the way of these types of solar events. And more closely to home, airlines actually have to pay attention to what's going on with the sun and these flares or coronal mass ejections that might be headed towards Earth, because that can play havoc with their navigation systems and their electronics, because they are flying higher up in the atmosphere. They're really closer to these charged particles, and it's going to be a concern for them. So they have to deviate their flight plans and just be on the lookout and fly safely when those types of events occur. All right, so let's go back to sharing out. I wanted to make sure that that graphic was shared. Let's go back to screen share here. You're going to see my mug here for a second until I share out my next desktop area. And let's see, I believe it was that one. Let's go ahead and share that. Okay, so let me bring this back down here. And again, my name is John Kramer, and we are make sure hope everyone's been able to see that. I just saw a pop-up. I sure hope everyone's been able to see my screen from the beginning of this broadcast. Wow, that would really be embarrassing if for some reason it wasn't sharing it out when I actually thought it was sharing it out. Gosh. Okay, so we're back to this view here of the solar flare. Let's go back a couple of pages here to Solar Ham site, and I want to show you this graphic here, real-time solar wind, and these forecasts for geomagnetic instances here of probabilities of different types of flares, especially up here. We have a 70% chance of a M class or moderate, I guess, type of flare. Great website for real-time information. These graphs will change, and you can really get an idea of what's going on with the sun. Now, let's roll back to our solar activity Facebook page, and let's see what other folks have imaged. Oh, look at this full disk here by Gabriel, and that was back over that was back a while ago, from October of 18th. So let's see here. We got some Peter's been nice. Look at the done with a monochrome camera or black and white, very similar to what I use. He's masking out the disk of the sun better to highlight the actual prominences. You got a lot of the spicules here and some great prominence details here in this image. Let's click through a couple more. Oh, there's our active region. Let me bring that up again here. 2371. Now, you might notice here that you have a dark region of the sunspot and a lighter region around it. The dark region is called an umbra, and the lighter region around that is called the penumbra. And of course, we're also able to see so much of the actual hydrogen alpha detail here. And look at these loop filaments here. Now, a lot of the features, well, predominantly the features that you're seeing here are all from magnetism in the sun. And that's why a lot of these, you see a lot of these as loops. Because, well, you know, magnets have a positive and a negative, and that is how these prominences really go ahead and keep some of their shapes. And let me see if I'm just going to do, I got a really nice graphic here that I will go back to sharing for you, just so that you can get a visual representation of what we're looking at here. Why? There we go. Screen share that. So here's a good graphical representation here of the magnetic field lines and the sunspot pairs. Okay. Now, the magnetic field lines are dealing with the white light sunspots, but they are also dealing with the actual filaments on the sun. And that is why some of them are in all of these variety of different shapes. Here's a great example of beautiful loop prominences here on the edge of the sun. These are dense clouds of material suspended upon the surface of the sun by loops of magnetic fields. So that is why a lot of the ones that you will see, hopefully you're seeing this now. I don't know why Google Plus has this pop up for different screen shares for me, but hopefully now you're seeing it. Hopefully you were seeing it before too. But anyway, yes, this is why you have these beautiful loops, because of magnetism. That is driving a lot of this particular layer of the photosphere and chromosphere of our sun. All right, let's go back to our image of, hey gang, let's go back to our image here on our solar activity page. And I think that's it. There we go. All right. So beautiful detail there from Peter on this image. Great stuff. Now, okay, here's one of the other active region. We can see it from here in this white light. This is probably 2367. So we've got 2367 here. Look at all these beautiful sunspots, smaller sunspots. And again, you're picking up these wonderful filaments. Okay, filaments here. As these progress to the western limb, no doubt there'll be prominences coming up. But that is that's pretty nice detail there for that. Ooh, now that's a really great shot there. Again, we're posting up these, or folks are posting these up to our solar activity website in celebration of the World Wide Solstice Festival. Folks are sharing these images just to promote solar awareness, if you will, solar astronomy. It's another good shot there of a beautiful prominence. Lots of different details there. Here we go with that first shot. Very nice stuff there from Peter, and that was taken with a 60 millimeter scope with a 3x Barlow. So he's magnifying it 3 times greater than, I guess, normal, with a DMK, another one of those imaging source cameras. All right, so let's scroll down and see what else we have so far from today. A lot of folks are posting up some of the information pertaining to the solar activity. And actually, let me go ahead and make you aware of another site that I frequently use. Where is that? I thought I had something for GOES. Huh. All right. Well, I'm not sure what happened to my... Oh, there it is. Gong. Looking at the wrong spot. All right. So what this is hydrogen alpha scopes around the world. And this is a live view, or as close to live view as possible, of the sun, full disk sun in hydrogen alpha light. You can see phenomenally large prominence going on here in the upper right. Wonderful filaments. There's our active regions here and here. Just great stuff. So if you ever want to see what's going on in the sun, this is from Big Bear, California, one of the country's premier solar observing sites. It really is great. I usually go here just to see if there's anything interesting that I might want to pop the scope out for while I'm at home, etc. So that's great stuff. Let's go back actually to Scott's NSN feed. He is still showcasing the sun in white light, and that active region is looking good there. As you can see, a little bit of turbulence from seeing, but he's got a live image for us right then and there. I will go ahead and say too, sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes you will have what is called I think it's just called a white light flare. These are rare. You have to catch them at the right time, but sometimes there will be a brightening, significant brightening of a feature in between of these sunspots or around them that won't last very long, but you'll be able to see it. It's so bright in visible light that you'll actually be able to catch it. So that's another interesting fact about the sun there and some of the features going on. All right, so let's see. Oh, look at that. International. Now that's international. We got some other things going on for them. Let's see. We have some activity. Some more folks posting up. Oh my, look at this one. This is wow. This is a phenomenal image here. Phenomenal image. This is from a 6-inch refractor, white light, of course. Now you're able to see a feature that probably haven't been able to talk about much. This is from a gentleman in South Korea. Truly a worldwide event, the Worldwide Solstice Festival. But look at the phenomenal detail that he's able to have been captured here in white light. You notice this pattern here all throughout the other areas that we really haven't seen much. At this focal length and this instrumentation, you're really able to see it. This is called granules. And this is directly correlated to the underlying layer of the sun. Now, the sun's made up of different layers, and maybe we should go back to a graphic for that. Let me see if I can bring up a good graphic for us. And yeah, we can do this one. Let me go ahead and bring this up here while we look at this image just for a second. But let's go ahead and share out the graphic here of our different layers of our sun so that you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so here is a graphical representation of the different layers of the sun. You got the core, that's where really things are happening. That's the thermonuclear reactions. The radioactive zone, that's where the particles from the core, those photons are trying to get out. And it takes a long time, sometimes 10,000 years for the light to get out of this zone because it's being bounced around so much. It's a very crowded area. But the area interesting here is the convective zone. So you know what a convection is, right? It's where you're bringing hot stuff is rising up. As it rises up to the surface, it starts to cool and it goes back down. And that's right below this photosphere layer. And then, of course, above the photosphere, we have the area called the chronosphere. So let's go back to that phenomenal image for a moment. I can't believe we've been out here for almost an hour, folks. Wow. So many things going on out there, gang, for Worldwide Solstice Festival. There's just so many things to talk about, to share. And I hope that between the break here, from where I wrap up this brief Google Plus Hangout, and we do an hour-and-a-half long podcast show on Blog Talk Radio. That's coming up next. If you head on over to Blog Talk Radio and you look for the show, you will go ahead and be able to participate in that show with the chat room, or even call in if you have any questions and things for us. Let's go back to that image. Okay, so this phenomenal image here really shows the granules from the convective zone. So all of these granules are where materials being lifted up, the hot stuff, and then it's cooling and going back down. This represents, think of it as bubbles, basically. That is all these granules going on in the sun. And just a phenomenally detailed image here of the sunspots, the umbras, the penumbras, the small little spots that come up and change. This is a great image here. Phenomenal. I make sure I liked that one. All right, Giorgio 2 hours ago posted up some great hydrogen alpha images. Now, these are kind of cool. This I do a lot. These are inverting different colors with the sun. You can do that with the software, and it just gives you a different perspective, a different view of the details that you're coming out on, or you're trying to bring out from the hydrogen alpha. So these are sometimes really cool to see it where you have the bright features here with the darker features and kind of like a black and white. That's pretty cool. Here it is, of course, in color, in red. And there's another monochrome image, close-up of the solar prominence. Very good. And you have some other great stuff here from that. All right, so let's go back here through, gang. Chris Woodcock here from an 80 millimeter refractor with a solar filter on here. White light, active regions, both captured. Very good. Thanks for sharing that one. Here's a nice little close-up. Even got a bit of a hint of the granulation going on there. Very nice. The penumbra and the umbras. Very good. All right, Robert gave another white light. This one's very nice. You can see a lot of good detail in here. It's interesting here as these details get to be on the solar limb. These brighter regions that you're seeing here become more prominent. And forgive me, I can't remember. I want to say faculae, but I don't know if that's 100% accurate. Someone will have to double check that for me. All right, so white light imaging, very, very popular out there. Oh, there's Robin catching some sun in hydrogen alpha. With their telescope. Nice little white hood there. What that does is increases the contrast for you while you're at the eyepiece down there. Where's the imaging from? Tucson, Arizona. Okay, a couple more posts going on. Oh, bright aurora. That was the example of the aurora borealis gang that happens when the charged particles emitted from a coronal mass ejection or flare get brought down through the magnetic Van Allen belts of Earth and hit and create this wonderful display. I would love to see one of those one day. More great white light. Now, okay, here's Randy Shavax, the husband of Pamela. He does, as you can see, some, look at that, phenomenal stuff. This is actually active region 2371, just posted up yesterday. I mean, look at the, you can sit here for 25 minutes and study this photo by itself or longer. I mean, look at all the detail here. It looks 3D. It's incredibly detailed image there from Randy. So great job as usual with that. Lots of the umbra penumbra. You got the filaments here from the hydrogen alpha. Just gorgeous stuff. Here's a slightly different view. Off band plus 7 angstroms. All right, that's good. Now that's blue shifted. Blue shifted, I believe, demonstrates material, or I guess you could say material that is approaching you, whereas red shifted would be material going away from you. So this highlights some of the material, no doubt, kind of directed at us, at least from the perspective of rising above the solar disk, solar surface in the chromosphere. Great detail there. Beautiful. Oh, wow. Look at that. There are just so many different shapes of prominences. You never get tired of looking at them. It's just superb. This one here is very unique. I've never seen one quite towering like this, where it's broad at the base, but then gets very thin and narrow at the top. That's really, really cool. And look at all the spicules here coming up. More superb detail in the active regions here. Just incredible shots. That is the reason alone, gang, to head on over to this Facebook group, Solar Activity, just to see Randy's stuff. He posts a lot, and it's always fantastic. So I really encourage you to do that. Here's a nice oh boy, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Sorry. Beautiful image here. Nice close-up of a solar prominences. And there are some kids with some solar glasses. We did that locally today. That's one of the great things. We got some wonderful solar glasses that were donated again by Daystar Filters, and the kids were enjoying those. I'm going to be posting up my images here. I just haven't had the time. I just got back in before jumping on here and sharing the views with folks. There's another little solar setup. That's one of those solar PSTs, a very popular little telescope, 40 millimeter aperture. Thanks, David, for sharing that. That's what's called a double stack. I think he's got, yeah, that's a double stack. I'm pretty sure. Double stack means he has a hydrogen alpha filter here, plus the one that's integrated here. And the reason that that's nice to have is because it narrows the hydrogen alpha band and it makes the image more contrasty. Although you do have a bit of sacrifice for image dimness. Well, gang, we are coming up at 3 o'clock. And wow, I can go ahead all day and do one of these Google Hangouts and just share some of these things going on. Let's go back here to Sparky or Scotty here in North Dakota. He is sharing his view again. Let's put audio back on from him, see if he's talking about anything in particular. It's live. You can hear the birds chirping. Oh, there's one that flew by there. Again, Night Skies Network. Sign up. You don't have to if you just want to view. But if you want to go ahead and be able to jump in on the chats, just take a moment and sign up. It's a great little site. And like I said, I frequent there. And probably between the break here that I have between this show and the podcast, we'll go. But anyway, that is this Worldwide Solstice Festival Google Plus Hangout event. And I'm John Kramer. It's been just a joy. Just a joy. Wow. Boy, I got some sun today from my nose. Oh, boy, I should have wore some sunblock. Just a joy going ahead and sitting here and talking to everyone. So next up is going to be the podcast. Head on over to blogtalkradio.com and look up the At The Eyepiece show, and we'll see you there. Thanks for watching.